There you are, my hero. You've returned. How has your journey been so far? I was starting to think you'd forgotten me. You've barely gone to my temple these past few months. Well, of course I know how long it's been. Though here in the astral plane there is no passage of time, I still watch over you faithfully. I know every single second of every single interaction you've had, and every single non-interaction you've had. You know this already. Now, my dear hero, I understand you're not entirely comfortable with the concept just yet, but I told you, give it time. After all, us two will continue to interact. I've made sure of it. Your name is once again on the reincarnation list. You're no longer surprised? Well, I suppose this is the 70th world I've transported you to. You have a lot more experience now. I think you'll like the next world as well. It's a lot more suited to your original tastes, if you remember them. Yes, just like this maid outfit I'm wearing. I thought it would be a nice surprise for the next time you come visit me. Even though I've been wearing it for ages, it still hasn't wrinkled. Such is the power of a goddess. There is never a single thing that will ever go wrong for me. You could be like that too, if you accepted my offer and renounced your mortality. You can still choose to come here and live with me forever as a god and as my eternal lover. Surely you've started to see the benefits of it? After all, you fought and killed so many. Don't you want to rest? You could live happily without pain, nor suffering, nor war. I could even teach you to create your own worlds, one where there are only happiness and peace. Why don't I do that? Because of your fantasies. Like I told you when we first met, I had already been watching you for quite a long time. Such a kind, darling soul, but treated so poorly, reduced to nothing more than a ball of anxiety and depression, forced to remain inside, too fearful to experience the outside world due to the cruel mistreatments of others. I was not the one responsible for that world. That was my brother. Oh, how I regret not bringing your soul to one of my worlds sooner. You would have lived in eternal bliss, showered by not only riches, but all the beauties the world could offer. But even so, living in that world made you desperate for fantasy escape, for worlds of dragons and dungeons, of princes and princesses, of heroes. You wanted so desperately to be a hero, to be showered in adoration by all, and I was more than happy to give it to you. I would not have reincarnated you so many times into the role of the world's savior if not. Does that not show my devotion to you? My dear, if I was one of those obsessed yanderes you claim I am, I would have kept you here long ago. never to allow you to escape. I would have forcefully stripped you of your mortality and already claimed you as mine. Well, I suppose I have somewhat already claimed you, seeing as your soul can no longer reincarnate in a world that isn't mine. But that was of your own choice, was it not? After the first cycle, I told you you could pass into the world of another god or goddess. But you said you wanted to stay with me, and so I permitted you that. Are you going back on your word now? Why the hesitation? Whenever you see me, you seem so distraught. And yet whenever I bring up the concept of you going anywhere else, you go quiet, as if it's a thought you can't bear to think. Admit it, my dear hero. You want to stay with me as much as I want you to stay with me. I apologize, that was a bit confusing. I'm just saying, my dear, we are destined for one another. You and I both know it. But you aren't quite ready to join me in immortality. And even if you never do want to join me in immortality, I will not shame you for it. Whether you want to remain the hero for thousands of reincarnations, or if you change your mind and want to become a commoner, a villain, or anything in between, I will grant you that wish. I will make worlds upon worlds, simply to comply with what you desire. Is that not a wonderful thing? Or will you still reject me for that? Still you cannot say a word, because you know it to be true, that you want my favor and that you want the gifts I give you. You do not wish for death, nor do you wish to live a life where you do not remember the last. I suppose in that way, with your memories of everything intact, barring the few times you or I deemed that the memories were too painful, you are already an immortal. A god of adventure, a god of memories, a god of heroism, in all but title. Actions speak louder than words. Apologies, I am going too far. But still, you do not deny it, as you still do not speak to correct me. It is not a horrible thing to be a god, and I'm sure one day you will realize that, even if you do not choose to come be one yourself. Well, that is no matter. You still have not taken a lover in this world, have you? You have not done that for the past few reincarnations either. For the past 17 reincarnations you have chosen to remain maidenless. Why is that? I really cannot get a word out of your mouth, can I? Is this what our relationship has been reduced to? Nothing more than idle pleasantries from myself, devolving into ramblings because you will not bless me with a single word. Oh my, a goddess asking for a blessing from a mortal? It's unheard of. Well, I suppose our relationship is already of an odd nature, so I don't mind asking for blessings from you. So, my dear, will you bless me with a word? I suppose it is just a singular word, but that will do. Come now. We spent far too much chatting with nothing between us. I've prepared a feast of all your past favourites. You will wake up quite stuffed, as even if the astral plane food is not real, it will still have the same effect, as you've already long well known. While we dine, you can tell me what blessing you would like next. A blessing for a blessing. A love for a love.